The only way out is in a room 6 foot by 4 foot, and you're not getting out of it. So you go in not because you choose to, but because the mind calls you into this place, and it opens. It becomes intriguing. It becomes fascinating. But you have to articulate. You have to use words. You have to hear your voice speaking, because it's one way of giving yourself back to yourself.
Earlier on, before you came in, I got to know Maeve in 1971 when I think Dermot asked me a question. I said about ABBA, which was strange how things happen again. But Maeve Binchy was in Brighton when ABBA won the European, what's it called? Eurovision Song Contest. And after there was always a party at the press tent in the pavilion, and there was a lot of voices there. About 2:30 in the morning, I heard this wonderful Dublin accent. Is anybody going back to London? And of course, there was a lot of people around. Nobody really took much interest in Maeve, but I was Irish, and this was like music to me. I'm going back. Oh, grand! It was the first time we wrote the word grand. Where are you going? I won't put you out. She couldn't have been more courteous. Well, actually, I was then living in Hammersmith, virtually where she was living in Hammersmith. I dropped her off, and we became friends. And I remember about a month after I dropped her off, she wrote a piece in the Irish Times calling me the photo essayist of a thigh. So that was our first introduction. And it's always had, like Maeve, but she was always gracious whenever I saw her,
It was the second, at least, to divert slightly, my favourite. Maeve phoned me around 3 weeks before she died, and I was incredibly shocked when I heard the news of her death. But Maeve's most interesting lift, apart from your obviously wonderful lift from Brighton back to London, was in Dublin, in the airport in those days, it was impossible to get taxis. Because there were so few taxis in Dublin, and there would be these massive queues, and she came in on the last flight to London, was delayed, and there was a taxi driver leaving with 2 Americans in the car, and he looked and he pulled up right down to queue where Maeve was, and he said to the 2 Americans, "Do you mind if I give my daughter a lift home?" And they were going to Killiney, and Maeve lived in Darky Village there beside the pub, And so Maeve had to get in and pretend to be his daughter for the entire trip over, and chat away about home life and mother and everything else. And it was the way that Maeve was loved by people in Dublin, that our taxi driver would do this. Finally, they got to Polyvilla where Maeve lived, and as she was getting out of the taxi, and because she couldn't pay him or anything, or make any tip, because obviously she was his daughter, he leaned over and gave her a big slap on the backside and said, "Now tell your mother to have the bed nice and warm, please."